Have you ever wondered why you give the best of yourself and yet you are ignored? Why those who give everything end up forgotten while those who do not seem to care appear unforgettable? This question has an answer, and it might change everything about the way you see yourself. Stay until the end, because the part that concerns you most directly comes much further along than you think. What if what we sometimes call love is in reality nothing more than a disguised form of emotional dependency? Men think they have conquered a woman when she agrees to be with them, but a woman is only truly conquered when she loses herself in him. We live in an era where seduction is confused with performance, where men build inner empires only to not be chosen. They go to the gym, earn money, read books, learn seduction techniques, and yet they disappear. They become cold, they say you are great, but they leave. Meanwhile, the guy who lives at a friend's place, who does not always reply to messages, who is not trying to impress anyone, he seems to have a spell that keeps them coming back. The truth is painful. We have been poorly taught. The formula we were sold about what attracts a woman is false. Perhaps what you are about to read will irritate you at first, perhaps shake you, perhaps make you doubt everything you believe about yourself. But if you have the courage to go all the way through, something will happen inside you, as if an old part of your identity were removed with the precision of a surgeon. Here we will talk about the man, his soul, his energy, his forgotten truth. Because deep down, women do not become addicted to muscles, money, or status. They become addicted to a man who knows who he is, even when no one is watching. Imagine this. You spent years shaping what you believed to be an ideal man. You trained your body, built a successful career, learned conversation techniques. You did everything you were told would work, but despite it all, silence. She talks to you politely, even shows interest, but something is missing. She does not desire you, she does not pursue you, she does not lose herself in you. And the most intriguing part, she gives herself without resistance to men who seem to have less than you, much less. Then that cruel thought surfaces. What does he have that I do not? But perhaps that is not the right question. Perhaps the riddle is reversed. What if what you have is precisely what keeps them away? What if the armor you built with so much effort is what prevents them from truly seeing you? You were trained to be chosen because you are useful, strong, functional. But feminine desire is not in functionality. It is in mystery, tension, the absence of control. Perhaps you buried your chaos in the name of efficiency. You became predictable, reassuring, and deeply forgettable. The woman feels it before she even understands it. She picks up on the desperation to be validated. You may be better, but it is the other one who vibrates in a state she cannot control. And that is where addiction is born, in the loss of control. While you offer stability, she seeks vibration. While you offer certainty, she wants to lose herself. If what you just read resonated with you, if you feel that something here truly speaks to you, subscribe now to this channel and activate the bell so you never miss any of these truths. Because every new video is one more piece in rebuilding your inner power. Look at that guy who barely makes an effort, who seems indifferent to the idea of deserving someone. He is not mysterious because he is playing a role. He is mysterious because he has nothing to prove. And this absence of effort, is precisely what reveals the power. Perfect men deliver a ready-made script, but the woman desires a book she has not yet finished reading. Perhaps your entire construction rested on the premise that you needed to be more, have more, show more. But now you are beginning to suspect that the true treasure never resided in your external conquests. It resided in that inner state you abandoned in order to become acceptable. The question is no longer how to become the man they want, but how to abandon the man they tolerate to become the one they cannot forget. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You walk into a room, you say nothing, you are not trying to impress anyone, you are simply present, calm, whole. While others are trying to attract attention, you listen more than you speak. And when you finally open your mouth, silence settles around you because your presence has already said everything. That is power. And power in the feminine unconscious is the fuel of desire. Most men believe that female desire is triggered by a set of merits: success, beauty, intelligence, protection. They live as if she falls in love on the basis of a resume. But her desire does not respond to logic. It responds to an invisible field of energy. That is why so many men are frustrated. They confuse having value with appearing to be worth something. Women become emotionally addicted to men who emanate a silent and inexplicable value, a value that does not need to be proven. It is irrational, it is visceral, it is unconscious. And what determines this? Your presence, your emotional calm, your independence from the gaze of others. A man who does not seek approval transmits something almost mythological, the feeling that he has already found himself, and that no one has the power to complete or destroy him. She feels it, she tests, she provokes, she creates emotional games by instinct to find out if you are a rock or a mask about to fall. And here is a painful truth. When you try to prove your value, she concludes that you have none, because the one who has value does not need to prove anything. That is the true trigger of emotional addiction, the perception of a superior emotional value. She does not fall in love with you, she falls in love with the state you put her in. A state of inner imbalance, of tension, of searching. A man who does not place her at the center of the universe, but who makes her orbit around his. And the more she tries to understand you, the more dependent she becomes because you do not fully reveal yourself, because you are not accessible like a product on a shelf. You are a forest without a path, a book without a final page. Feminine dependency does not arise from certainty. It arises from the abyss between what she feels and what she understands. It is in that space that desire makes its home. Your mission is not to impress, but to be silent, not to show, but to be, not to chase, but to fully inhabit who you are. There is something in certain men, a frequency, a vibration that passes through the skin, settles in the chest and never leaves, even after their departure. It is not charisma, it is not beauty, it is energy, and this authentic energy is a substance that creates dependency. They do not act to please, they do not measure their words to convince, they simply occupy their space with calm and absolute presence. These men do not need to prove they have options, they simply do, and this invisible abundance creates a magnetism that defies logic. Its name, authenticity without need, the opposite of desperation, the opposite of the anxiety to please. These men have understood a silent secret. Women do not want to be in control. They want to surrender to a presence more stable than their own mind, to be swept away by an energy that envelops and challenges them at the same time. And that is where a paradox appears. When you are emotionally independent, she feels free to attach herself. But if you need her to feel like a man, she will have to run to survive. The man who creates addiction is not the one who is available at all hours, nor the one who meets every expectation. It is the one who does not bend out of fear of losing, because he is not afraid. He knows that nothing outside can be more precious than the peace he built inside. The woman perceives it in the way you look, the way you breathe, the way you do not react to provocations. In your way of saying no without guilt, in your clarity about what you want. She feels it when you are whole, and that is when she begins to drift, to feel a void. This is not manipulation, it is the natural consequence of a man who has returned to himself. Because while others are shouting to be seen, you radiate something that needs no explanation. There is a type of man who, even after the end, remains present. Not in unanswered messages, not in old photos, but in involuntary sensations, in memories that surface without being called. This man was not necessarily the most handsome nor the most accomplished, but he was the most whole, the most present, the most unpredictable. What makes a woman dependent on such a man is what he awakens in her, boldness she had never known before. And this creates an emotional imprint, a mark that persists even after his departure. Because this man did not settle for pleasing, he left a mark. He was a mirror, but also an abyss. And perhaps you are wondering how to become that man. The answer is as simple as it is frightening. You must lose everything you have built in order to become yourself. Abandon the obsession with strategies. Break free from the need to be accepted. Dive into your own truth, however imperfect, however human it may be. The man she never forgets is the one who did not ask for permission to exist. It is the one who did not worry about being loved as long as he remained free. And ironically, that is precisely why he is loved. For his silence, for his refusal to sell himself. He becomes in the feminine imagination a symbol of everything she lacks in this world: presence, firmness, authenticity, direction. While the majority seeks to be chosen, he chooses, including himself. Because more than desire, he provokes a transformation, and no one ever forgets the one who transformed them. Deep down, it all comes down to this: she does not fall in love with your achievements. She loses herself in your energy. She does not become addicted to what you show. You can have a perfect body, a full bank account, and still be forgotten. Or you can be an ordinary man, but with a rare presence, a calm soul, a gaze that asks for nothing, and provoke more impact than any shout ever could. True seduction lies in emotional freedom, in the absence of desperation, in the comfort of being you. It is not about being chosen, but about choosing yourself every day. And when that happens, everything else changes on its own. When I sat down to write these words, I thought of you. You who rest your head on the pillow at night and feel a strange emptiness, even after doing everything right. The one whose value has already been ignored, who was rejected without explanation, who tried so hard to please, and in the end, felt invisible. I know that place. I lived there for years. A silent night, lights off, phone in hand, and yet another message read with no reply. I looked at the ceiling and asked myself, why am I so afraid of being myself? That night I understood that my greatest mistake was everything I hid about myself in order to seem better. That is why these words exist, not to give you a technique, but to hold up the mirror. If something here has touched you, know that you are not alone. You are not weak because you feel, nor less of a man because you doubt. You are simply human, and perhaps at the very beginning of your rebirth. Thank you for staying until here. This is not just content. It is a conversation between souls.